Okay, so it seems like recently there's been another situation going on with Zentrea where she's had to release an announcement about it, as it seems like it could be a pretty horrible thing that could be happening to her. Now, if you don't know, obviously Zentrea has been involved in a lot of situations recently, especially last year. Obviously, it's 2026 now, but during 2025, it was a pretty turbulent year for her, especially the latter part of the year, including obviously the V Shoujo fallout. She left just before the V Shoujo downfall, and then also as well the whole stuff with Ariel, where there was a little bit of a falling out, which we also covered, as well as the outfit drama, which obviously took place, the most recent one, where some people were trying to claim essentially that she had a World War II Germany outfit, which was absolutely ridiculous, and it got blown way out of proportion. But obviously it seems like things have settled down now, but it's also, you know, throughout all of these dramas, and also just naturally as well, this happens as a natural thing as a content creator in general, it's kind of created a lot of people who hate Zentrea, right? And, you know, that is very natural in terms of a content creation, you know, sphere. Everybody has haters. I have haters. Everybody else has haters. Many VTubers, especially with the parasocial nature, a lot of the time have people who hate them, right? And sometimes that could be just in the case of they don't want to watch their videos, they don't want to watch their streams, and that's totally fine. That's totally normal, right? Okay, you don't have to like everybody for whatever reason. And obviously some people, though, go a little bit too far, and it seems like that has been the situation this time with this recent announcement that Zentrea has put out over on her Discord, essentially saying, at everyone, just as a heads up, there is a lot of impersonators. Know that I do not play any games outside of stream, only a select few, and even then is rare. Someone is impersonating me on VR chat, and someone going by the name of Zentrea TTV on there, and some other games. Those are not me. Most of the time you'll see my name on stream as is and nothing else. Stay safe. So yeah, obviously it seems like a lot of people have been getting fooled, I guess, by somebody on VR chat and also other games as well with the name Zentrea TTV, obviously trying to impersonate and be Zen. And obviously that's pretty horrible, right? It's obviously coming from someone that maybe wants to affect their career. Maybe it's not. Maybe they are just a fan or whatever. But I feel like, you know, the main purpose for this would essentially be for somebody to, I guess, try to make stuff up about her or whatever. And again, that could be pretty damaging to someone's career. And obviously, yeah, it's pretty horrible that this is happening to her, because it seems like what they're doing is going around on VR chat lobbies pretending to be Zentrea. And, you know, who knows what they could do, right? Because if people believe you are her on something like a VR chat thing, and then you say something horrible or whatever, or, you know, something, I don't know, like you kind of reveal information that obviously is fake or whatever, or you, you know, pretend, you know, to say, I don't know, some racist thing or whatever under the name of Zentrea, then obviously it's going to look bad on the actual Zentrea because people think it's her, when in actual fact it's not. It seems to be someone that is impersonating them and obviously trying to cause harm to their name, which obviously is pretty horrible to see, and it's something that has happened quite a bit, right? It happens a lot on places like VGen. If you guys don't know, VGen is a very popular platform for essentially commissioning artists for VTubers, right? Whether that's for creating models, like as in like creating actual VTuber models, creating concepts, doing stream assets, video editing. They literally do everything over there. It's kind of crazy. It's very, very useful, right? But anyone can make an account with a separate name, and we've seen it many times with smaller VTubers especially, having their name taken and essentially them sending horrible messages to artists, which then the artist then calls them out on Twitter being like, hey, why did you say this to me? And then the VTuber's like, that wasn't me, that was someone else using my name. So it's almost like a similar situation, right? Except this person is going into game lobbies and things under this name. Now, again, I don't know what exactly they're doing. Zentrea doesn't really specify what they have been doing, right? She doesn't say if they've necessarily been spreading anything hateful, or if it is literally just somebody using the name and just playing games, right? Because, again, there is a very high chance that it could just be a fan, or it could just be someone who is using the same name and you know, I don't know, just has some kind of connection to Zentrea, right? And not like connection as in personal, but like, you know, watches her videos or something like that and is using the name and is just playing games, right? But I think the most likely answer would probably be to spread some kind of, you know, obviously hateful or some kind of, you know, damaging, I guess, stuff in these game lobbies as people will see them. And, you know, obviously many people, especially in VR chat, will obviously recognize who Zentrea is because, you know, VTubers and VR chat, there is a bit of a crossover because a lot of VTubers use VR chat. A lot of VR chat users like to watch VTubers because obviously it's a very similar thing, especially with 3D models and stuff. So again, people are going to know who Zentrea is in VR chat lobbies and stuff, but obviously they're not going to know what her exact username is, and using stuff like Zentrea TTV can obviously be very, very misleading because, again, obviously that isn't her username, but it's close enough where some people would assume it is just her, right? Because, again, there are so many different variations of a username that you could really put there for people to believe it. And obviously, yeah, I do think that could be the case because, you know, you can add like Zentrea TTV, you could have just Zentrea. Obviously, she says here that most of the time you'll see my name on stream as is and nothing else. Stay safe. So again, obviously, I don't actually know what username she uses on stream, but yeah, I'm assuming it is just Zentrea or something similar like that. But again, you know, there are so many different username combinations that could actually be pretty believable. For example, like Zentrea, like YT or something like that, right? It could be a combination of that, which obviously, you know, she's not going to go through and make multiple accounts to stop people from making those accounts because there are so many combinations of it. But it seems like some people are using it to obviously their advantage and essentially trying to, I guess, yeah, destroy her, not reputation. Well, I guess, like, I don't know, because I don't think they're going to go too far. I think, you know, obviously once someone does a little bit of research, you know, they're going to find out that it wasn't Zentrea in that lobby. But, you know, some people might go away from these kind of interactions with this fake account and actually build up like an actual grudge against her when she's done nothing wrong, right? And I do think that is pretty interesting, right? Obviously people as well, you know, I think it was one of the mods saying, so XXX underscore Zentrea underscore XXX wasn't you? Obviously making fun of like the classic Xbox names and stuff like that. Because again, obviously there are so many different combinations, right? That people can get tricked by. And also it does bring up a lot of other, you know, concerns too, because there is many reasons as to why someone might be impersonating Zentrea in these places. For example, like skins and stuff like that, right? VR chat less so because obviously VR chat, a lot of stuff is free. But, you know, in other games, obviously they say, and some other games, you know, they could use it by saying like, hey, I'm big streamer Zentrea, please buy me a skin, and someone will do it, right? You know, because obviously some people are very gullible and they'll want to get, you know, something for their favorite streamer or whatever and have them use it in game, maybe on stream like later on, and they'll buy it for them. And that could also be another reason as to why they're doing it. Again, there could be multiple reasons, and, you know, some of them innocent, some of them nefarious, and I do think it is obviously pretty scary either way to have somebody going around in these lobbies doing this kind of stuff. And yeah, obviously it is pretty disgusting if they are trying to, I guess, damage her reputation or damage her image by doing this, because again, it could just be, yeah, a scam thing. It could just be people trying to get free stuff out of people, or even, yeah, it could just be anything, trying to get them to go over to certain websites or whatever to scam that person out of money, not even just game things. You know, they could be trying to get them to say, hey, I'm Zentrea, use this link and do this for me, and then they might do it, right? That could also be the case. Or yeah, as I said, it could be them trying to, you know, get free items in a game. It could also be them, obviously, as I said, trying to make her look bad, trying to pretend to be her in these lobbies and stuff, and obviously end up, you know, ruining her image. Well, not ruining her image, but like, I guess trying to damage her image, right? And again, just either way, it doesn't look very, very good. I think that there is more negatives to this happening than positives, right? I don't think there's many situations where it was just innocent and it was like a fan or whatever. I feel like that just isn't the case because, again, I don't think anybody would actually try to, you know, I guess use such an impersonating username like Zentrea TTV. You know, obviously that is a very obvious attempt at trying to pretend to be her rather than trying to pretend to be a fan, or not even pretend to be a fan, or just being a fan, right? Because obviously you would add something else, or even you would add something like, you know, Gecko or something in there like that, because obviously, you know, that's the whole fan name stuff. So maybe, you know, I don't know. I think it's just something nefarious. I honestly think it would be, especially with the VR chat lobbies and stuff. It seems like, you know, maybe that's happening. Or as well, I think there is also one other possibility. I'm just going through possibilities in my head, right? You know, obviously I said the scam possibility. There's also the possibility of ruining an image, but also it could just be someone that wants attention, right? It could just be someone that wants to pretend to be her and will just go into lobbies just to get that attention, which I do think also could actually be a very high chance, right? Because obviously Zentrea, as I said, well known, people will recognize, especially in VR chat lobbies. So maybe, you know, some people will, you know, obviously think it's her and they will get that attention that they're wanting, right? Not that they're necessarily going to lead them anywhere, not that they're necessarily going to ruin their image. Obviously, they could do by saying something wrong, maybe, but obviously, yeah, I think they could also do that. I think there's also the case of, obviously Zentrea uses a like a TTS voice, right? So it is much easier to impersonate her behind like a VR chat model or something, because obviously, yeah, you could just use a TTS voice and people will believe it's you, because again, obviously the one downside of having an impersonator or like being impersonated on a on a game or whatever, if it was say me who uses my real voice, people will be able to tell, wait, that doesn't sound like him, that can't be him, obviously. But with Zentrea, it's a lot harder because it's an artificial voice. People can easily replicate artificial voices. Now, obviously, people can easily replicate real voices too, which is becoming a much bigger issue. But obviously, I think it's much easier for someone to impersonate Zen than it is maybe another VTuber, right? Because obviously, of the artificial voice, it's kind of easy to find maybe like a TTS speaking thing that can obviously, impersonate that. So again, there is so many multiple different things, but at the end of the day, it's still bad. And I hope that, they get like banned or something gets sorted, because again, it's unacceptable that they are being targeted in this way. And hopefully Zen can sort it out in the future. But yeah, that's about everything that I got for this situation. If you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.